Ray Rice's extremely short suspension sparks outrage.
And yes, football fans, NFL training camp is in full swing, and Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones is still talking about the NFL draft.
Plus, if you've ever wanted to get drunk with a racist, you might have missed your chance as John Rocker was available. I'll explain. It's coming up on the Sean and Bo Show. Hey, what's cracking, everybody? Episode 13 of the Sean and Bo Show. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name's Sean O'Donnell, along with my co-host Bo Greer. And Bo, I know that football season and preseason is just right around the corner. It was illustrated very, very clearly to me the other day, okay? All of a sudden, the door rings. It's the postman. He's got a package. No big deal. I go outside. I'm wearing my Kansas City Chiefs t-shirt. Guy says, "Oh, God, the Chiefs?" I said, "Yeah, who's your team?" He said, "Raider Nation for life, baby." I say,
gosh.
"Bro, don't stab me. It's okay, you know?" And he's like, "Oh, you got jokes, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, where's your team playing this year? Do you have a stadium yet?" And he said, "No more packages for us." So I got that going for me.
That is the hierarchy of the NFL. Raiders fans get packages for other fans of every other team. So if you're a Raiders fan, that's just about where you'd be in life.
that or making license plates.
Yeah, for one of the various state institutions that specialize in license plate manufacturing.
Now, it was a new class inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame at Cooperstown over the weekend, Bo. I'm sure you saw all the coverage
Was
of this.
Pete Rose in it?
No, they're still not.
Then I don't recognize it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you there. It's time. It's time to let old Johnny Hustle into the Hall of Fame. You know, I mean, you can't tell the story of baseball without Pete Rose, and you know, whatever sins he committed as a manager, you know, his skill as a player is undeniable.
He's a beast.
But anyway, the Hall of Fame was going on, and you know, a lot of big names in baseball were in town at Cooperstown because, of course, you had Tommy Glavine and not John Smoltz. Oh wow! Can't believe I'm blanking on this. The Greg Maddux.
Yeah.
They were inducted into the Hall of Fame, and so a lot of other notables from the Braves organization. Bobby Cox, the longtime
What did
manager.
Maddux go in as? A Cub or a Brave?
He didn't put a logo on his plaque.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, he had a cool speech where he was talking about how like every year he looked forward to coming back to the team and watching as John Smoltz's hairline continued to recede. It was a good speech. But other not so notable Braves were also in town, including John Rocker. You remember John Rocker, Bo?
Oh, you can't forget.
Had some great things to say about the New York subway system and what you might see.
He was Reddit and YouTube and TMZ before they were created. He was like that guy that if he was around when that stuff was going, they'd have so many sound bites. He'd have to live on the moon. But what do you got about Mr. Rocker? What was he rocking?
So he sets up a little table there outside of one of the bars in Cooperstown, and he's doing the normal stuff, selling books, selling T-shirts that say "Speak English," things you would expect out of Mr. Rocker. But he was also selling raffle tickets, Bo. Raffle tickets. $5 a ticket. I think you get 5 for 20. And the prize, 10 people would win a night out drinking with John Rocker.
Wow.
Now, that might sound awesome, and you might get some great stories out of it, but he qualified that he was only covering the first round.
Oh.
So you can get a beer if you win the raffle, which you're paying for.
That's not a night out in the town. That's more like, let's go buy John Rocker drinks. John Rocker found a clever way to drink for free.
I guess so.
In retirement.
Well, he better get all the drinking in now that he can because he's going to be part of an upcoming season of Survivor.
Wow.
So look forward to that.
See, and this will probably be the most diverse Survivor crowd ever. They're going to have people from Mexico. You're going to have dudes from Haiti. He's going to get a crowd in there that's just going to tick him off. And he's going to be wearing his Speak English T-shirts.
Now, I got a new favorite baseball player, Bo, speaking of America's pastime.
Okay.
Earlier tonight, I was watching the Blue Jays absolutely wax the Red Sox. I think it was like 14-1 when I turned it off. One of the the fan favorites of the Blue Jays is a Japanese player, and here I'm about to butcher his name, Munenori Kawasaki.
Okay.
Kawasaki. And the reason why a lot of people like the guy is because he's just so enthusiastic about the game, full of energy, very colorful character, and he's also doing his best to learn the English language, and of course no one can fault him for that. But the guy gives an absolutely fantastic interview, Bo. He was with CBS Detroit pre-game the other day, and here's what the interview sounded like.
From David Ortiz yesterday. How did that hug feel?
Oh, he's a big, very big, He's big, Kawa small. He's big, Kawa small. He's big, Kawa small. He's big, Kawa small.
Okay, we got it.
Thank you very much.
Now, talk to me about how you've played since you've come back here. You've been very big, important hits, big plays in the field. You've been very, very important to this team. How much have you enjoyed what you've done here on the field?
This field, like it, because the team, Blue Jays, everybody nice guy. I love Blue Jays. I love Toronto. Thank you. I love Michael Jordan. You know Michael Jordan?
I know Michael Jordan.
Michael said, just play, have fun, enjoy the game. Okay? Michael said.
You like David Ortiz?
I love David Ortiz, his respect, because he big puppy, Big puppy is, very big heart, spirits. He's good, strong spirits, big body. I'm a little puppy.
You're a little puppy.
I'm a little puppy. I'm little spirits, little bit.
Did it hurt you when he hugged you? Did it hurt?
Yeah. Step by step, step by step. Michael Jordan said, just play, have fun, enjoy the game. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
I want to have somebody do a quote check on those Michael Jordan references.
I somehow knew you would enjoy that.
Oh, man.
But he's a great player on the field.
See, what I was going to say is, I can already tell. I'll make this prediction. I'll bet my youngest child on it, Sean, is basically someone who's brave enough to get out there and do that with his English being where it is the same type of guy in 5-6 years. If he pans out, he'll be on the Tonight Show. He'll be the type of guy, you'll see him in movies. He sounds like he's got a personality. When he started rapping there at the beginning, when he was doing the big poppy thing, oh man, I was waiting.
He big, Kawa small.
Yeah, he big, Kawa small. One of those guys on YouTube that do that thing, they're going to turn that into a rap song. That'll be hilarious.
Now, turning our attention to the NFL, Bo, a couple of stories come out earlier today. First of which, Rodney Harrison, basically he was talking about the Patriots and Rob Gronkowski, a great tight end who's coming off just a series of bad injuries. And he was saying that players will target Gronk's knees. Now, I don't know if this is entirely true. I mean, like he himself kind of was a dirty player, Rodney Harrison. Who was it? Was it Trent Green he took out in a preseason game? He took him out. But he said the following, quote, "I'm going to tell you this, and it might sound egregious, but people and teams think like this. Heck, if you get a shot at Gronkowski's knee, you better take it. Because that might be the difference of us going to the playoffs or us winning the division and us not winning the division going to the playoffs. We would be blind and ignorant to think teams don't think like that. Take this guy out. Take this running back out if you get a chance. Now we don't have to deal with him twice a year. We don't have to see Gronkowski in the playoffs because that offense is a completely different offense without him."
You see, Sean, this is why if I'm ever a head coach of any program, you put the gag order on the players. This is why Rodney Harrison wasn't allowed to talk most of the time he played in the NFL. Because here's a guy, this is the Hollywood effect. Football is so big now. It's such a big game. Everybody knows it's violent. Guys like, Mr. Harrison, who's another, Jason Sehorn. I'm going through the list. Mention some other little guys, DBs, that had to play that position and make them tackles every once in a while, and them running backs and stuff. But they take too much credit. Like, what's Rodney Harrison going to do? Okay, let's do Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson's running through the flat 100 mile an hour with all his, steedness. He looks like a freaking thoroughbred.
He's a hoss.
What's Rodney Harrison going to do? Form tackle him?
Well, I think that's the point. Is like, well, where else are you going to attack Gronkowski? Of course, you're going to go for his first.
Exactly.
But what he's talking about, Bo, is specifically trying to take a player out. So
I've always said this though. From a player standpoint, the game happens so fast. I just crack up when these guys want to tell themselves, the same guy that'll say it's illegal, it should be illegal for them to fine a player for doing what's natural and lowering his head and just trying to take a guy down, will turn around and say that these guys are targeting, because he's the reason why the Goodells have to do what they have to do. Harrison goes and puts this stuff out there in the media. Just let the guys play football, Rodney. You're just as bad as Mr. Goodell sitting over there talking about, they're going to be illegally targeting his knees. Half the guys in the NFL could not tackle Gronkowski in a head-to-head matchup.
Is he right, though? Is he right when he was saying that teams do think like this?
Teams do think like this, but it's as simple as a coach looking at the defensive backs and saying, you guys know if Gronkowski gets loose across the middle, you need to get him down. We don't need him scoring a 40-yard touchdown on a 10-yard slant.
Well, that's obvious. That's a little different than saying try to go for the knee and
that's what
injure
Harrison turns it into that. It's like you hear half the guys in the NFL talk about, my coaches, we would explain what we needed to do, but it was never in a grotesque manner of, I want to see his bones popping out of his skin. It's not this a bunch of barbarians out there. It's these guys have a high weight to speed ratio. And when a man that's 275 pounds can get up to 35 mile an hour in less than 10 yards of football field, I'm 300 pounds right now, Sean. If Gronk got loose on me, I'm knees down. I'm not running up against that man right now where he is. I look at the pictures. He would blast you. Probably I would put Suggs. There's only a few guys, that big old running back that keeps getting drunk and passing out in his car for the Niners. He's a big dude with a big neck. There's not a lot of guys that can go into Gronk head up and not come out with a spinal injury. So Harrison, this is the kind of stuff I talk about, where it's one thing for Goodell to react, because he always has to react to the buffoonery that is the NFL players. And you're one of those guys. You sound like a buffoon sitting up there talking about, they're going to be illegally targeting his knees. That's like saying paint's going to dry. We know that's going to happen. That's football, buddy. Quit drawing attention to those types of things and start talking about something that means something about football. It gets on my nerves, all the speculation right now, Sean.
Bo, we're one week away from getting to see the beauty, the enormity, the intensity that is simulated preseason football games. And as most teams are kind of putting the finishing touches on their squads, their schemes, etc., your boy Jerry Jones, well, he's still looking back.
That man is over there talking about how he passed on Johnny Manziel for an offensive lineman. And you ask yourself, you hear stories about, guys like Teddy Bridgewater, the guy up at Buffalo, Sammy Watkins Jr., these teams are preparing. All they're doing is building confidence in their players. Yeah, you may only be scrimmaging against each other, ones against twos against threes, whatever. But it's confidence building. The head man, the CEO, the check writer, the moneymaker, Jerry Jones, is sitting over there in a golf cart. And a week ago, he was talking about the big three. So he was still living in the 90s a week ago. And this week, he's still living back in the draft. So when will this man ever wake up, look forward, and do like some of the other NFL GMs? For example, the gentleman down there with the Washington Redskins. He's talking about how RG3 was rushed in last year and he felt it was wrong. Talk about something that matters about what's going on now with these players. Get the pressure off your quarterback's back like that gentleman just did. They asked him a question. He said, RG3 was rushed last year. It's going to take away that pressure of RG3 thinking, man, if I don't perform in 7 games, these guys are going to bench me for Cousins. He took that weight off his shoulders. That's what those words can do. And that's why those organizations win. And that's why my Cowboys are probably going to go after their 5th 8-8 season in a row.
I liked what Jerry Jones had to say about the lengths he would go to have a Super Bowl victory these days. And he said, basically I'd cut a blank check. Duh, Jerry, we know you would. We've been watching what you do.
Wasting money. Like to unload DeMarcus Ware was a miracle. That thing right there, I told you, I play Madden, and trying to get rid of DeMarcus Ware on a simulated computer game is ridiculous. It's got like a $90 million contract. In NFL terms, that's like a baseball player. You don't pay people like that on the defensive line that kind of money when the Seahawks can win a Super Bowl with a payroll on their entire defense that equals $90 million.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on, Jerry? You making buddies down there instead of making a team?
The heat, man, he's getting to his brain, I think. It's just too many decades living down there in Dallas.
Well, now they're doing training camp in California for like 3 years now.
Oxnard.
And I thought it was just going to be this kind of deal where, we're trying to attract the HBO type scenario going on. They like the lights. But now I'm thinking we're soft. What happened to the heat? I was just back in central Indiana, and I was probably an hour and a half away from where Colts are having their training camp.
Yeah.
Woo!
Humid.
That humidity. Yeah. Boy, I know it ain't like that near Malibu.
Probably not. Scenery's maybe a little bit better than us.
Food's way better.
Uh-huh.
You know what you're eating in Anderson, Indiana, if you're the Colts? They're chopping up pork. You're eating tenderloin sandwiches, salad with ranch dressing. No, and I'm not talking about romaine lettuce. You're getting iceberg lettuce. It's the Midwest, baby.
Maybe a carrot.
Win a Super Bowl, yeah. Win a Super Bowl and we'll give you some prime rib. The Cowboys are sitting out west eating Lord knows what, sushi probably on the menu. Come on, man. That ain't football.
Now, defenders better be getting a little bit nervous, Bo. This year in Minnesota, Norv Turner is going to be running the offense there, and Adrian Peterson all day is already chomping at the bit talking about how he's excited. He recently said in an interview, quote, "Let's call it what it is. I thought in the past we've been predictable. I'm sure you guys wrote stories about us being predictable the past 7 years. You won't be able to write that story this year. That's pretty much all I'm saying. You won't be able to do that because this offense is so versatile."
Well, when you told me that, I pulled up that NFL training camp live on my cell phone, which is, I think that's just awesome. And I don't know if it's just because of the practice scenario or what, but it was still the standard pro formations, single back, some I formation with the fullback. Nothing really new. There was a kid from Georgia Southern, I believe it was McKinley, running back. He was in there with Teddy Bridgewater, and they were running the offense. But the only thing I could think Norv is going to do is the passing route tree is going to be a little bit different. But with the young quarterback, I don't see how far you're going to get into that route tree. I think a lot of it's AP telling himself, I'm in a good situation when he's really not. He's going to end up carrying the load. And the best thing for him is maybe this McKinley kid can alleviate some of that pressure for him. And best case scenario, let's say Adrian Peterson's touches get cut down from usually 28 a game to 18 a game. At this stage in his career, that's still a burden in the NFL. 18 carries a game. He needs to be more at like 12 to 15 and letting the other guys run screens and decoy and play action stuff for him at this stage of his career. I don't see it working out in year one.
Do you think he's going to have a career season, or do you think that his most productive days are now behind him?
Oh, behind him. Yeah. It's just impossible. Your guy right now, what's
Jamal
his name? Jamal.
Charles.
You're in that 3-year window with him where you're going to see him just explode and do all these amazing things.
The great thing about JC is that they just signed an extension with him, but it's only for 3 years. So the Chiefs, they're not blowing money. They're not paying him for after his prime. They're getting the absolute best, most productive years out of him.
Well, yeah, it's because you'll get 3 years out of him, and he's going to go play for the Broncos or the Raiders. That's how things work in that division. It's like you guys just
watch your mouth,
trade the players around. But no, I think these guys, the load is so heavy. They get beat up so bad. The players are bigger, stronger, faster. And Adrian Peterson took on a lot of them. And even if they cut his carries in half, what's the best thing that's going to happen for him? They cut his carries in half and they lose those games instead of winning those tight games that they used to be able to inch out because they were controlling the clock. So what happens is Adrian Peterson, yes, he thinks Norv Turner's offense is going to be this, that, and the other. Let's say they're 2-3, 3-2, whatever. They come into the locker room. Adrian Peterson's going to be, give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball, because he's going to want to win the division. And football players always do that to themselves. Put it on me, buddy. I love the speculation, Sean. This is all speculation. Everything I read, it's nothing because it's just them practicing against themselves. And then in a lot of these situations, because the guys aren't trying to earn jobs or earn spots. They're not going that hard. I just want to see, like you said, preseason week 1. Is Sammy Watkins going to catch that first bubble pass against these guys and make them look like they're standing still?
Oh my God! Did you see that play from his camp? By the way,
Yeah, all
where
the plays.
where he stumbled, like almost tripped over, and then leaped in the air and
I
caught
didn't
it
see that
one-handed.
one.
Oh,
I got to
goodness.
look at that
Oh,
one here in a
goodness.
minute.
All right. Well, coming up on the Sean and Bo Show, big-time controversy surrounding Baltimore Ravens Ray Rice's extremely short, as some people look at it, 2-game suspension. We'll talk about that. Plus, a new ruling in the Donald Sterling saga. We'll go over that as well. It's coming up on the Sean and Bo Show.
Hello, podcast fans. Adam Carolla here. I'm leading the fight against patent trolls who are threatening this medium. It's not about me. It's about the podcast you're listening to right now. If I go down, this show could be next. Visit fundanything.com/patent troll for more information on how you can keep podcasting alive. Thank you and mahalo.
Welcome back to the Sean and Bo Show. Yes, we're here once again to discuss Mr. Ray Rice. As you might remember a few episodes back, we really hit that real hard. I was speculating that none of these rulings were going to come out for a while, but Sean, you have an update on Mr. Rice and what's going on with him in the NFL.
Before I get to the details of that, Bo, I think The Onion, the satirical newspaper, I think that they did a absolutely great job of summarizing this whole thing. Headline reads, Roger Goodell to NFL players. Murdering your wife will result in automatic 4-game suspension. Now, as we know, Ray Rice got suspended 2 games, and a lot of people are up in arms about this, and I think rightfully so. If you get caught smoking a joint, that's 4 games. Adderall, 4 games. Knocking your fiance unconscious in a casino
On tape.
2 games. Now, we learned from Jay-Z the correct way to handle a woman trying to kick your ass, and that is duck and weave.
Let your security guard handle it.
Not left, then right.
Yep.
And so there's a ton of stuff surrounding the story. The first of which was Screamin' A. Smith getting in trouble. Did you see this?
I didn't see that one either.
On Friday, he went on this diatribe about, well, women need to consider what they're doing to provoke the attackers. And, oh, yeah.
Don't ever go there, buddy.
Even over a weekend, he couldn't get away with that. So this morning on First Take, he had this pre-recorded apology where he, called himself a moron, et cetera,
Yeah.
stuff we already knew, Smith.
Thank you.
But it really begs the question, should a player who's getting in trouble with domestic violence off the field get a lesser punishment than, say, stomping a player's head on the field?
It's one of those things where I've always been curious about how these organizations are able to hand out these legislations and they've never been sued. I always wonder if there's some sort of document when these players are signing these contracts where they can't sue because, in the workforce or in the court system, if someone's been punished this way for one crime and then another person's been punished another way and it doesn't add up, something needs to be done. And this is one of those deals where, yes, you have guys like, Aldon Smith, that's the name, I think linebacker for the Niners.
Yep.
You can get drunk, pass out in your car, and, you don't know what's going to come down. Then a guy hits his wife or a guy's, murder. It could be murder allegations or the guy for the Dallas Cowboys. You never know what these guys are going to do. And then here's Goodell. We don't know if he's going to act swiftly. We don't know if he's going to let it, linger.
He's got a reputation of kind of over-punishing players, which kind of makes this all the more dumbfounding.
What about the incident? The guy he hit, Patriots cornerback, I believe, hit the gentleman and killed him down in Florida. He ended up serving a year's suspension. And this is an aggravated type of assault with a deadly weapon. You could argue that Ray Rice assaulting a female, being an NFL football player, as tough as we are, as big as we are, he was using an assault weapon, not a vehicle, but his hands to harm this female. And, it just doesn't add up. He's only going to serve a 2-game suspension. You ask yourself, How they were able to pull that, maybe Ray Rice's lawyers threatened to sue or something. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but stuff like that just seems fishy to me.
Keith Olbermann actually had an excellent point about this. The NFL, for all they say they care about women and the Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Oh yeah.
You have a suspension like this. Meanwhile, NFL.com are selling those bedazzled pink Ray Rice jerseys.
Yes.
Where's that money going?
Yeah.
Battered women's shelters? I don't think so. Line in the pocketbook of the NFL. So you kind of have to ask yourself, does the NFL really care about any of these social issues, or are they just out for the bottom line?
I got something else to you. Number one thing Ray Rice did, and I hate even bringing this up, but you know how race plays in our country. And if this young lady's name was Lily, or her name was Brittany, and she had blonde hair and blue eyes, I swear this would be a whole different story. But you have a Latina woman who, did you read the postings after the video was posted on the internet?
No.
People were just saying things like, oh, this is what you expect when you're trying to date a Latina woman. They fight back. And my wife, Angelica, I showed her some of these postings, and to her, it's just a slap in the face. And in this country, we've never had a national day to sit and look for a lost child from the ghetto. We've only looked for the children who get lost on spring break spending daddy's money.
Yep.
So we know Ray Rice hit the right person at the right time in the right casino. If he was at, let's say, at the Masters in Augusta, Georgia, and he did this in one of their hotels, this would be a totally different story. But I think these things play into it. Nobody cares about a woman like her, and nobody really cares about a Ray Rice. And he plays into those stereotypes that men out there in the NFL who carry themselves the right way try to break. But he's just another young African-American athlete who put his hands on his fiance, wife, whatever. He's going to serve a mediocre suspension, and I bet you in the future he'll probably deal with something like this again because he never learned his lesson the first time.
And the other thing that kind of gets lost in this story, Bo, is, is there really an appropriate suspension you can give a player for knocking out their fiance? Like, if it was 3 games, would we be saying, oh, okay, he served his time,
I think it's what the courts do. The only way you make these situations better is you do your probation time, like you said, at the batter's women's shelters. You want to see him vulnerable. You want to see him vulnerable to be judged. It feels like he's been so protected since all this has happened. Remember the horrible press conference we made fun of? Nobody really lashed out at them for that. He goes on to be on a few TV shows. There was a show or some comment that he made. It was just out of place. And you're like, shut up. And now he's getting a light suspension. So now it's like the NFL. It was Ray Rice over the summer. But now the NFL is in full swing with training camps and preseason right around the corner. It's almost like these two things have married. And you would think the NFL, being $1 billion organization, would be like, Ray, even if you're going to do 2 games, that Sunday on one of the NFL channel feeds, we're going to show you serving soup to battered women in Southern California. It'd be something so big that you couldn't get mad at it. And it's almost like nothing's being done. I don't feel like he's being punished, or he's going to be in a situation where he's going to learn that what he did affects people in many different ways, on many different levels.
All right, before we get to the Donald Sterling story, just a brief reminder, if you'd ever like to check out the previous episodes that you've missed, do so online, seanandboshow.podomatic.com, also available on YouTube. So if you missed that episode where we talked about the Ray Rice press conference that was just absolutely laughable, please go check that out. But a new ruling today in the Donald Sterling drama. A judge sided today with Shelley Sterling, basically intimating that she acted in good faith with the family trust, and that the sale to the Microsoft dude, what's his name?
Bauman, Steve Bauman.
And that's
something like that.
Yeah, I don't think that's right either. That's the kind of expert journalism you can expect from the Sean and Bo show, folks. But anyway, that sale is going to go forward. And really at this point, it looks like, Donald Sterling is going to do everything in his power to keep dragging this out, but he's not going to be able to prevent the change in ownership. At very best, he'll be able to seek damages in court. But it looks like come the start of the NBA season, we will not be seeing a player boycott because the ownership will be in totally different hands. So I think kind of the details of how this is going to play out from here is sort of formality. It's going to happen. Sterling's not going to be in control of the team. So hopefully we can move on to better stories about the Clippers and focus on the court play rather than some idiot, bigoted owner. Now, Bo, as you know, here on the Sean and Bo Show, the motto, sports, entertainment, Bigfoot. Sadly, no Bigfoot news this week, but we have something potentially even better.
Yes.
Aliens.
Yes, aliens are back, baby. You know, we got caught up on zombies. People were looking for some Bigfoot love. And now we have been blessed with Toronto, Canada. Good old Toronto. That's Drake's Hood up there.
The mean streets of Drake's Hood.
Yeah. You know, this weekend, July 27th, you can look it up on YouTube, people. Huffington Post has a really good article about it. That's where I picked this from. It is amazing because this wasn't one of those deals where just some redneck drunk on moonshine saw it. A lot of
I'm
people
sitting right here, Bo.
a ton of people across the city were recording it. The police actually, it generated police reports. And one of the things you can already smell the conspiracies because one of the constables, I believe that's what you call them up there in Canada, he calls in initially reporting them unidentified flying objects. By the time he gets the reporters in front of him with the cameras and they're asking him to talk, he says that, Sean, I was only speculating. What I saw could have been quadricopters. They're commonly used, they're drones, and somebody had some military experience, and they're saying that these things were used to fly over cities in Middle East, whatever. I'm believing that it's UFOs. Look at how the lights are playing. Even if somebody took the time...
Excuse me, Bob. I'm getting my tinfoil.
Get your tinfoil hat on. You got to be ready for this. Be prepared.
All right.
Because if you look at how they synchronize, and there's like 5 UFOs in a row, and they're going up in an arc to the left, and then there's one up, and it's at a greater distance. I always say the real UFO things that aren't, somebody playing around with a computer program, they're always in this unique synchronizations and the lights.
It was the same thing that people saw over Phoenix, right?
Yeah. It's the same type. Yeah, it's the same type of deal where the lights are all synchronized and it's almost like there's a message. What I believe, there's a lot of smart people out there who can literally take those code and just start plugging them into all types of theorems and, big old equations and try and figure out the code of the language. Because there's something to that. Some idiot out there playing with an old Simon Says in a quadricopter isn't going to be able to pull off that kind of detail. You got to think about how many miles up they are. When you look at the video, you're like, it would take a lighting system that you would have to use on a concert. If you've ever been to a big light show, I've been to like a Tool concert, good rock band. They play this awesome laser light show. Well, the items they use to pull this off, to light up that whole night sky in an arena or in some pavilion, they are huge. You're not going to be able to just put them on some little quadricopter and lift them off the ground. Nowadays, the best you could do would be some sort of LED light, and it would be faint at best at a mile up in the sky. So I'm telling you, when I see things like this, it's real. And I'm not joking. That shit is real, man. I'm telling you, there are UFOs over Toronto.
See, I think we're going to, if you've got the money, Bo, right now you can go out and buy your own fleet of drones.
I know.
I mean, right now you can. The technology is now available to the public. So I think it's only a matter of time before you see more sophisticated kind of pranks like we saw with crop circles and stuff. I mean,
the crop circles are definitely pranks, and it's actually a skill. Like there's something to crop circles. I remember watching a documentary on why they started doing it, but there's actually a reason for it.
I think we're just going to see more and more of this kind of stuff, and it'll invalidate, as you put it, the true UFOs. These prankers are going to muddy the waters, Bo, and stop us from communicating with little green men. Not cool.
Well, it's almost like the Bigfoot costumes. The costumes have gotten so good, and the high definition and all the CGI. Some kid who takes an entry-level course at UC whatever school of California can basically fool the untrained eye. But when I see things like this, I watch countless video after countless video, not only on YouTube, UFO sightings, but I watch other videos on aviation. I love watching those. And what you learn really quick is that when someone's standing on the ground, they're stationary or they're up at a high angle, when they're filming these things and they're zooming those iPads in, just go out your back door with your cell phone camera and try and zoom in on a plane that's coming in to land. You realize when you put that in perspective, you're like, okay, that's the type of distance they're getting with that. That's why it's all grainy. And when the guys that do the fake shit, where they mess up, it looks too good. You see it, and you're looking at it, and you're like, this looks like a movie. You know, everything's crystal clear. You can see definition on the UFO. This kind of stuff, though, when it's grainy and it's at distance like that, I believe that it's so high up there that there's no way nobody's fooling us on this one. This isn't like they were standing on the shoreline and these were just some drones, you know, standing up over the Great Lakes. No, these bad boys were way up there. You just have to look yourself, you know, become a believer. Mulder and Scully would appreciate the help. You know, they're still out there looking. I want to believe.
By the way, since we're on the topic of drones,
okay.
Did you see the footage from the 4th of July of the dude sending a drone up right into the middle of a fireworks display, like as they're blowing up in midair?
No.
Oh, it's awesome. He strapped like a HD GoPro onto his drone.
Yeah.
So it's 1080p, awesome quality.
The government needs a rule on these drones. I don't know if you've heard about some of these close calls, but there's been people flying drones in neighborhoods, fields, and planes flying over have come real close because naturally planes have radar that are used for like detecting geese and things that'll fly near the jet engines. So when things get within so many thousands of yards, you know, signals are going off. It's beep, beep, beep. They're getting that a lot now. And the government is being prompted by the FAA because apparently they don't want to release the number, but there's been in Florida, somewhere in like Nevada, people have been flying drones at very high elevation. And you don't think about this. Think about when you're coming in, when I was flying in on my plane, they tell you, you know, all right, we're 20 minutes to landing, and you feel them starting to descend and decelerate, and you look out the window, heck, you're up north of Santa Fe. You know, you're so far away, and some guy playing with the drone up on top of some peak wipes out your jet motor. There you go, looking, you know, screaming into the ground. So, no, I believe you with these drones. These bad boys can get to elevation. The scary thing about it is what I was telling you. If these are drones flying over Canada and they are pulling this stuff off, we're not any safer today than we were before 9/11. Because if you can just grab a drone, fly it all through the airs of these cities, do these GoPro videos like you see on YouTube, you know somebody's out there trying to figure out a way to strap something to one of them. That's all I'm saying.
Now, we might not be here next week. I have a fishing trip. We'll be taking a bunch of disabled vets fishing out here in New Mexico with a real cool nonprofit I'm involved with, which I need to talk about that nonprofit on the next episode. But
Yeah.
If I get back in time, hopefully we'll be here on next Monday night. But if not, we will return the following week. So until then, my name is Sean O'Donnell, along with my co-host, Bo Greer, reminding you, tip your pizza man.
See you next week.
His big car was small. His big car was small.